Every journey begins with a single step, and often, that step is inspired by a dream. For a young shepherd boy named Santiago, this was his truth. He lived a simple life in the fields of Andalusia, caring for his flock of sheep. He knew the land, the sky, and the quiet rhythm of his days. But a recurring dream began to visit him in his sleep. It was a powerful dream of a hidden treasure waiting for him at the base of the great Egyptian pyramids. The dream was persistent, a whisper from a world beyond his own, calling him to leave everything he knew behind and seek his fortune in a distant land. It was a call to adventure, a promise of something more than the comfortable life he already had. At first, Santiago was unsure. Leaving his sheep felt like abandoning his entire world. The journey was long and filled with unknowns. Was it foolish to chase a dream? This question filled his thoughts as he walked with his flock. He decided to seek advice, to understand the meaning of this persistent vision. He met a mysterious old king named Melchizedek, who appeared just when Santiago needed guidance the most. The king spoke of a personal legend, a unique destiny that each person is meant to fulfill. He told the boy that when you truly want something, the entire universe conspires to help you achieve it. This powerful idea gave Santiago the courage he needed. With newfound determination, Santiago made a brave choice. He sold his beloved flock of sheep, the source of his livelihood and his only companions. This act was more than just a financial transaction. It was a symbol of his commitment. He was letting go of his past and his security to embrace the uncertainty of the future. He was trading the familiar for the extraordinary. The money from the sheep was his ticket to a new continent, a new life, and the first tangible step toward his personal legend. The fear was still there, a shadow in his heart, but the hope for what lay ahead was now brighter and more compelling. The journey began as soon as he crossed the sea to Africa. The world that greeted him was vibrant and different, but also dangerous. He was in a new place, with new customs and a language he did not understand. Almost immediately, he was robbed of all his money. He was left alone, with nothing but the clothes on his back and the dream in his heart. It was a difficult and painful test. He felt despair and thought about giving up and going home. But even in this moment of loss, the boy remembered the old king's words. He had to keep going. This was just one obstacle on his path, and his journey was far from over. Santiago's journey was not a straight line from Spain to Egypt. It was a path with many detours, each one teaching him a valuable lesson. After losing his money, he found work with a kind crystal merchant. The merchant was a man who had a dream of his own, to travel to the holy city of Mecca. But he had become comfortable in his life and was too afraid to pursue it. For a whole year, Santiago worked in the crystal shop, learning the language of the desert and the principles of business. He brought new life to the shop and helped the merchant become successful. But he never forgot his own dream of the pyramids. He learned that many people have dreams, but not everyone has the courage to follow them. With the money he earned, Santiago was able to continue his journey. He joined a caravan that was preparing to cross the vast Sahara Desert. The desert itself became one of his greatest teachers. It taught him about silence, patience, and the importance of paying attention to the world around him. In the endless sea of sand, he learned to read the signs of life in the wind and the stars. He met an Englishman who was also on a quest. The Englishman was searching for a famous alchemist, a man who could turn any metal into gold. He believed knowledge was found only in books, but Santiago was learning that wisdom comes from observing the world. During his travels with the caravan, Santiago met two very important people who would change his life forever. The first was Fatima, a beautiful woman of the desert. When he saw her at the oasis, he understood the language of love for the first time. He felt a connection so deep that he considered staying with her and giving up his quest for the treasure. Love was a powerful force, and he thought he had found his treasure in her. But Fatima, in her wisdom, understood his journey. She encouraged him to continue, telling him that true love would never stop someone from following their personal legend. She would wait for him. The second person he met at the oasis was the alchemist himself. The alchemist was a wise and powerful man who could see the courage in Santiago's heart. He knew the boy was close to finishing his journey and offered to guide him through the final, most dangerous part of the desert. The alchemist taught Santiago to listen to his heart and to speak the language of the world. He pushed the boy to face his greatest fears and to trust in the signs or omens that the universe provided. The alchemist did not give him easy answers, but instead helped Santiago discover the strength he already had inside himself. Every person Santiago met on his journey was a teacher, offering a unique and essential lesson. The old king, Melchizedek, was the first and perhaps most important. He taught Santiago about the concept of the personal legend. This is the idea that every person has a true purpose in life. The king explained that when we are young, we all know what our personal legend is. But as we grow older, fear and routine make us forget. His lesson was about courage. The courage to begin the journey and to believe that the universe will support you. He gave Santiago the confidence to sell his sheep and take the first brave step into the unknown. The crystal merchant taught Santiago a different, more cautionary lesson. He showed the boy what happens when a person gives up on their dream. The merchant dreamed of visiting Mecca but had become so used to his daily life that the dream became just a distant fantasy. He was afraid that if he achieved his dream, he would have nothing left to live for. From him, Santiago learned that the fear of disappointment can be a powerful prison. He saw that it is better to pursue a dream and risk failure than to live a life of regret, never knowing what could have been. This lesson strengthened Santiago's resolve to not end up like the merchant. Fatima, the woman of the oasis, taught Santiago about the nature of true love. He was ready to abandon his dream for her, believing she was his treasure. He thought that love meant staying in one place, safe and happy. But Fatima showed him that love is not a cage. It is a source of strength. She explained that a love that is real will never hold someone back from their destiny. It will support and encourage them. Her lesson was that love and a personal legend are not in conflict. In fact, they are connected. Pursuing your own journey makes you a better person, more capable of true and meaningful love. Finally, the alchemist taught Santiago the most profound spiritual lessons. He taught the boy to listen to the whispers of his own heart, for the heart knows all things. He showed him how to communicate with the desert, the wind and the sun, understanding that all things are one. The alchemist's greatest lesson was about faith and transformation. He pushed Santiago to the edge of his abilities, forcing him to perform a miracle to save their lives. In doing so, Santiago learned that his own power was far greater than he had ever imagined. He was not just a shepherd boy. He was part of the soul of the world. After a long and difficult journey, Santiago finally reached the Egyptian pyramids. He stood before the magnificent structures that had filled his dreams for so long. His heart was full of hope as he began to dig in the spot he had dreamed of. But he did not find a chest of gold or jewels. Instead, he was attacked by robbers who beat him and stole the small amount of gold he had from the alchemist. When he told them about his dream of treasure, they laughed at him. One of the robbers told Santiago that he too had a recurring dream about a treasure buried in Spain, under a sycamore tree in an abandoned church. In that moment of pain and loss, Santiago understood everything. The universe had sent him on this incredible journey not for the gold at the pyramids, but for the wisdom he would gain along the way. The treasure was real, but it was not in Egypt. It was back where he started, in the very place where he first had the dream. The entire journey across the desert, meeting the king, working for the merchant, falling in love with Fatima, and learning from the alchemist was necessary. He had to travel far away to understand the value of what was at home. The journey was the treasure. Santiago returned to Spain, a changed person. He was no longer just a simple shepherd boy. He was a wise man who understood the language of the world, who had spoken with the wind and the sun, and who had learned to listen to his heart. He went to the old abandoned church and dug at the roots of the sycamore tree. There he found a chest filled with Spanish gold coins, precious stones, and jewels. The physical treasure was his, but it was only a small part of his reward. The real wealth was the person he had become. He had learned about courage, faith, love, and the interconnectedness of all things. The alchemist teaches us a beautiful and simple truth. The journey is more important than the destination. Following your personal legend is not just about reaching a goal or finding a treasure. It is about the growth, the learning, and the spiritual transformation that happens along the way. Santiago's story encourages all of us to listen to our own hearts and to have the courage to follow our dreams. The universe is always ready to help us, sending us signs and teachers when we need them most. We only need to be brave enough to take the first step and trust that the path will lead us to our own unique treasure.